The Radical Immigrant Effect on America, by Carlos Garza. This political cartoon, called The Unrestricted Dumping Ground, was created by Louis Dalrymple. In 1903, Judge magazine highlighted the issues of immigration and the dangers of socialist and anarchist ideologies in America. So the question is, what are the effects of socialist and anarchist ideologies in America? Louis Dalrymple was born in Cambridge, Illinois. He attended night classes at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts at 17 and drew for local newspapers during the day. In 1885, he became chief cartoonist for New York's Daily Graphic. His personal life was different than his work. He was in a failing marriage and eventually divorced and tried to marry 7 years later but was denied the right to in New York, but later married in New Jersey eventually. His mental health would decline, and he would spiral into emotional turmoil, which led to his violent tendencies. He was later institutionalized in a sanitarium on Long Island and eventually died in 1905. Some of his other works include The Fool and His Money and School Begins, which deal with the topics of America taking in countries as territories and teaching them democracy, and the American people are falling into the big business trap. The major events that the political cartoon was based around were the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s, the Haymarket Affair in 1886, the Homestead Strike in 1992, as well as the Ellis Island opening. Afterwards, in 1901, the assassination of President William McKinley, and the Immigration Act of 1917. The Industrial Revolution created a huge demand for cheap labor, and this attracted millions of immigrants to America. The cartoon represents this with the boat and trash can of European and Asian immigrants being brought in by the millions. The Haymarket riot was a labor protest that turned violent after a bomb exploded in Chicago, Illinois. Many people blamed the immigrants for their socialist and anarchist ideologies. The cartoon represents these political views by labeling them directly and showing what they bring to the country. The Homestead Strike was a major labor strike that reinforced the fear that immigrants led to labor unrest and radical ideas. This just further increased the need for increased immigration policies. The Ellis Island opening was a historical moment in terms of immigration, where America began letting in millions of immigrants. But the people of America believed this was too much, and the fear of immigration was at a near all-time high. The cartoon reflects immigrants as rats, showing they are ruining the country. The assassination of President William McKinley was a major turning point, where the fear of immigrants and the increased need for stricter immigration policies became apparent. This is because Leon Czolgosz, the assassin, was of immigrant descent. He was, however, a U.S.-born citizen. Eventually, the Immigration Act of 1917 was ratified, which led to literacy tests for people and banned many immigrants from certain regions from being allowed access to citizenship in America. The cartoon pushed for this kind of change. There were many symbols that this cartoon used to express its message. Uncle Sam was the first recognizable figure who expressed the government's strength, and this symbol is Uncle Sam, who represents the United States government. He is shown standing strong, which suggests that America is trying to protect itself from the large number of immigrants entering the country. This figure in the background represents President William McKinley. He is included to remind viewers of his assassination, which increased fears that immigrants brought dangerous political ideas like anarchism. These rats represent immigrants. The cartoon uses rats to show how immigrants were viewed negatively at the time as dirty or unwanted, reflecting strong prejudice. These labels show the different fears Americans had about immigrants. They suggest that immigrants were associated with crime, violence, and radical political beliefs. This ship represents immigrants traveling from Europe to the United States. It shows the large number of people arriving and the idea of constant immigration. This container symbolizes the belief that immigrants came from poor and overcrowded areas in Europe. It reflects the negative attitude that these people were undesirable. And finally, the weapons carried by some of the rats represent violence and danger. This shows the fear that immigrants could bring crime or political unrest. Although this cartoon was made in 1903, its topics are still relevant to this day. The issue of immigration is still contentious, particularly concerning laws and limitations imposed on immigrants. Immigrants may be subjected to stereotyping and discrimination, which is illustrated by the image of rats in this cartoon. This political cartoon tries to push a message addressing the issues of immigration, but unfairly judges immigrants. However, the overall message is pushing for stronger immigration laws. Reference page.